Okay, it's a beginning of another brand new week. It's another beautiful Monday in a big and beautiful city of Ibadan. My name is AYODEJI LAFENWA. It's a pleasure to welcome you onto the From the Dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. Of course, this is the program where we get to take you on a journey through the national dailies we have this morning. And as usual, I've got Comrade AYODEJI AJISOPE live in the studio with me this morning. A beautiful morning to you, Comrade.
Yes, thank God it's Monday, as they say.
Let me ask you, were you able to have a very restful weekend
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
to an extent?
Yes, to a reasonable extent. You know, you
Okay.
need to calibrate and program yourself to refresh.
Definitely, most definitely. All right, this morning I've got four newspapers. I've got the Vanguard newspaper, I've got the Nigerian Tribune, I've got the Punch newspaper, and of course I've got the Guardian newspaper. Looking at the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this beautiful Monday morning, August 26th, 2024, I have this one saying, FG moves to eliminate malaria, picks Dangote, Otedola, Elumelu to drive efforts. Nigerians hope for lower cement price deems. Okay, and another one. Catholic bishops canvass regional government, ask Tinubu to fight hunger, graft. Another one says executive order on medicament. FG yet to implement 2 months after. Executive order on medicament. Probably I should read a part of that so that we will understand what medicament is all about. I think it's all about sometime in June this year, the president and the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he signed a particular bill into law talking about what the government will be doing to at least to bring down the prices of medicals and even to create a conducive environment for pharmaceuticals to function, so that will go a long way to bring down the cost of drugs in the market. But 2 months after, we are yet to see any implementation. That's what the story is all about. We'll go into that story in the course of the program. Moving away from the Vanguard newspaper, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. Now, about 95% of the front page of a Punch newspaper this morning is advertorial. So there are only three stories reflecting on the front page of the Punch newspaper are September rollout, Tinubu panel, Dangote refinery brainstorm on petrol pricing, and Ryder President's Committee refinery to conclude talks on Naira crude supply, petrol pricing. Another one says states oppose FG's 600 billion naira vote for 70,000 naira wage. That story is found on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And the last one says flooding, Delta, Kogi create IDP camps. Anambra, Kwara, one communities. Okay, away from the Punch newspaper, looking at the Nigerian Tribune, malaria, FG picks Dangote Otedola Elumelu to drive efforts to end scourge. Another one says, end bad governance protest. Court freezes 32 bank accounts. 2 police officers killed as Shites police clash in Abuja. That story is found on page 27. Ondo to host biggest entrepreneurship festival in Africa event to attract over 200 investors. Tinubu should act on calls for new constitution. Anyoko. That story is found on page 23. Terrorism, FD resumes trial of 300 suspects. That story is found on page 26. And looking at the front page of the Guardian newspaper, Forex execution H's threaten food waiver policy as farmers kick. Page 6. Serap asked governors Wike to disclose details of Chinese loans. Atiku chides Tinubu over citizens' rights violation. That story is found on page 7. Another one says Okonjo Iweala asked politicians to stop weaponizing insecurity. I tell you, the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning is quite loaded. Again, terrorist strike in Kaduna, kidnapped district head, 6 others. Another one saying the unholy secrecy of National Assembly members' pay package. That story is found on page 15 of the Guardian newspaper. Without wasting much of our time, let's go straight to have a discussion with our analyst this morning to get his perspective. A beautiful morning to you once again. Come with us.
Yes, a beautiful Monday morning here.
Now, because Nigerians are still groaning in pains of the scarcity of fuel in the country. I mean, I was thinking there will be a kind of a succor over the weekend, but interestingly this morning, I think the struggle continues as regards sourcing for petrol this morning. But there's a particular story which I'm trying to find, talking about a panel being set up to talk about pricing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
okay.
think
Yeah.
the punch.
Okay. Yeah. The punch. Yeah. Now September rollouts. Tinubu panel. Dangote refinery brainstorm on petrol pricing. Now, should Nigerians expect something favorable from this discussion?
I will say, from the content of that story, the story says a panel has been put together to brainstorm. Now, brainstorm about petrol pricing. Why do you have to brainstorm about petrol pricing?
I think there's a target, September rolling out.
Yeah, why do you have to brainstorm about the pricing? What you should brainstorm about is how Dangote is going to get the crude. You understand? Like our chairman was saying yesterday. Also, because if you sell crude to him in Naira, that means we do not get the foreign exchange we ought to get. You understand? And of course, when he exports his own products, the foreign exchange, whether in yen or US dollar or pound sterling or euro, goes into his account. Like you said, an agreement, should be reached. How some of this will be repatriated. So you understand? To cushion that gap. Now, why are we brainstorming about pricing? The man is in private business. He's going to buy the crude. It's not as if he's not going to pay for the crude. He's going to pay for the crude only in Naira at the exchange rate. You understand? Prevailing exchange rate. What we should be talking about is, so if the man is buying crude in Naira, if the man is not going to be paying for shipment, like you ship from Europe, you ship from North America, you ship from the Americas. I mean, that's a lot of money saved in shipment. And then some other taxes that he will pay. You understand? The other taxes he will pay. How will that impact the cost of production? That is what we should be talking about. Who is brainstorming about? Who is brainstorming about? You see, let me make this abundantly clear. The same people that are involved in importation, storage, and distribution. They are the same people that won't be available anymore when Dangote starts and all that. Not just Dangote this time around. It's only that Dangote, because of the size, is the arrowhead. You still have Paracore refinery. You have other small refineries that will be producing that this will affect. Fact is, the guys that are in other places, they want to move into this one too. Why are you discussing pricing? These guys
the thing is, I mean, as of today, I think the cost of lifting is about 1,200.
Yeah, that's landing cost, 1,200.
Okay.
But when you take out the cost of freight, shipping from North America, shipping from Asia, that's some costs. You understand? And then the cost of other taxes. When you take that out of it, it will impact one way or the other. The cost of production, and with a little or other margins added to it. Let's have that one first. You understand? So, who wants to price? Who wants to determine? Do you want to determine? Are they NMPC? You understand? If anybody is going to cushion the differential, of course, it is the federal government through NNPC.
Yeah, well, that's why it's a presidential committee. It's a president's committee to talk about the refinery and conclude talks on Naira
Are
crude
we
supply.
having the transparency? Look, when they say good governance, I don't want good governance. I want transparency. Like yesterday, the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of NNPC, came out and said, we're not paying subsidy. Okay, we're not paying subsidy. What's the explanation for that? We are the sole importers of PMS. When we import PMS, our owners, the federal government, NNPCL is owned by Ministry of Finance Incorporated and NNPC, So the owner say, this is how much you will sell. Instead of saying this is the dividend we have made or the profit we have made and this is your dividend, you say, okay, don't give me the dividend. Use it to cover your costs. You understand? The differential in the cost. They're not paying dividend. They're not paying subsidy. I was told by NNPC top brass that since the days of what do you call that man, Jonathan, they stopped paying subsidy. Because what we know, what we call subsidy here is how much are you supposed to pay for it? I pay the real cost, you understand? And then I go and deliver. I'll say, how much did it cost you to deliver? Let me give you the differential. Since the days of Jonathan, I am told that the payment of subsidy stopped. NNPC, even when they tried it, when the so-called subsidy was removed by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, people wanted to start importing. Some people actually imported that I know of. But by the time their shipments arrived, and then PPPRA wanted to dictate price to them. You understand? I source for foreign exchange. I bring in, I pay all the full cost. I have it, and then PPPRA wants to determine the price for me. You understand?
But there seems to be quite a number of things embedded in secrecy as regards the oil sector in the country.
I recall that Moshood Kashima Olawale Abela, when he was campaigning for presidency in 1992-93, said that the transactions of NNPC itself is as opaque as the crude oil that they deal in. That is weighty. Has anything changed? Certainly not. Let NNPC, of course, NNPCL will say, well, it is federal government that owns us. But who owns the federal government? What constitutes the federal government? Is it not we, the people? Let them put this in.
But what should be the way forward now, at least to bring smiles on the faces of Nigerians as regards the availability of petrol?
No. Well, make crude available to Dangote. That's not going to be easy because there are already commitments, you understand? And the IOCs, and even if I produce we said this last week, I have my OPL, I produce my crude, you now start telling me who to sell to? No, you can't tell me. I pay taxes, you can't tell me. NNPC and their joint venture owners, you understand? They can supply Dangote. But how much crude do we produce? How much is stolen? And these things that we call theft is quite ridiculous. Because if 400,000 or more is stolen per day, how is it possible? These are the questions we should interrogate. We're not meeting up per quota. There was a time we were doing 2.2 million barrels per day in Nigeria. Our local consumption, even as of now, is not more than 500,000 barrels. But for
as of today,
it's not up to that. It is still profitable to smuggle out. You know that.
Definitely.
And it is affecting what is called our local consumption. Why are there so many petrol stations?
So even if the refineries, with the local refineries that we have in Nigeria start working today, there is not enough crude to supply.
That is the impression we are being given. Because you don't buy crude like you go to Okado market and say, give me one bowl of pepper, give me one bowl of, you pre-order. And you pre-order. There are contracts. You sign contract. And then you come and lift. You understand? Not that you just go there and say, give me crude. There are pre-orders. And then, of course, like we were told yesterday by our chairman, that some of these things are still being used, 10,000 there, 5,000 there, to pay for monies that were borrowed by NNPC. NNPC is the one that does the crude, so they're the ones that will go on behalf of the federal government. They borrow money, and they hand it over to the federal government. And what have they been doing with money? Spending, not productive, anything productive.
Despite the large, huge amount of money budgeted to that company.
NNPC? Well, thank God they don't.
No, we talked about it last week when we talked about the breakdown of the money being spent by the directors.
Yeah, it is the oil industry. They have to be well remunerated. It has to be competitive. That's it. Even the regulators, all those regulators, they hire because, okay, you say I should go and scrutinize somebody, and I earn maybe like a quarter of what he earns. If it makes me a temptation, just like the FIRS, they say you should be collecting taxes. I mean, if somebody you send to collect money, you must be well remunerated so that you will not compromise. So industry standards, that's what they are applying. But productivity, is the productivity matching, you understand, what they get paid?
All right, away from that particular story, it's 13 minutes to 10 on Solutions 93.9 FM. The program is from the dailies. Another story, Serap is in the news again. I remember last week, Serap was addressing, as in was sending a kind of a warning to the National Assembly members, but now it is to the governors. Serap asks governors Wike to disclose details of Chinese loans. What is this Chinese loans all about?
Chinese loans are all over the place. States are collecting it. Lagos State has Chinese loans. The federal government, all the rails we are building, the one they are building from Kano to Maradi, unproductive rail line, the one they built from
those are federal government Chinese loans.
They're Chinese loans.
Now we're talking about the ones obtained by the governors.
Yes.
What are they being spent on?
Yes, these loans are in form of come and build this road for me. I don't have cash. You understand? I don't have cash. Build. This is the transaction. This is where we're going to be paying. Well, of course, that's a loan. You understand? Because they will bring. You know what do they bring? They bring all the heavy equipment. They don't buy it here. You understand? When they say they take loans, this is some of the things loans that are not particularly productive. Come and build me a 100-kilometer road. They bring all the heavy-duty equipment they are bought from China, feeding the Chinese economy. Because if you buy, they will be energized to produce more. They bring all the technicians. You have seen them at site. These guys, they are not engineers. They are technicians. They bring them in their thousands. If you go to Takwa Bay or any of the beaches in Lagos on a Saturday, you will have an idea how many Chinese are in Nigeria. There are usually thousands of them at those beaches. Now, they bring those guys, they bring the equipment, and they are likely, because they will be talking about standards, they are likely to be importing so many other things. So many other things. And it is a loan that is not benefiting us. It is only the physical structure that you will have. It's not benefiting us. So the states, you know, they were calling that guy.
You said the loans are not benefiting us, but what are the things the loans are being spent on? I mean, you spoke
infrastructure.
About, that's what you mentioned now.
But if you want to build, you are not buying stuff from here. You understand? We pay. If we pay, yes, we have the infrastructure. What about the economy?
Now, you talked about that, the fact that they ship in most of the equipment. Do we have the equipment here in Nigeria for them to use? The equipment to be used for this construction works?
So why don't we have them? We used to have steer in this country. We used to have Leyland. We used to have, now some of them are returning. Even if it is CKD, do you get me? Even if it is CKD, completely knocked down, you understand? Component parts. There will be a factory. There will be a production line where they will be, even if coupled together, there will be a production line that will be employing people. You understand? Thousands and thousands of people. There will be a production line. What is Innocent doing? I mean, and then you will put rules in place. The local content, there's a commission for that. Local content, Senate has committee for it. House of Reps, so, even for petroleum industry, they have it. Local content development. Do we have a plan?
But to be realistic, comrade, we don't have this equipment for the construction of these things in Nigeria.
We had them.
We had, but we don't have them now.
So why don't we have them? Why don't we have them? And what is the plan? Is it sustainable? That is why they call us an import-dependent country.
So what should these Chinese loans be used for instead?
Instead? Of course, I mean, we have a
to be of benefit to the people.
Infrastructure, of course. They are building the rail lines in Lagos. They have built all the federal government rail lines. But you see, when you take a loan to go and build Kano to Maradi, and it is that, you understand, it is expected, the rail line is expected to pay. Will a rail line from Kano to Maradi pay? Even the one, Lagos Ibadan, it goes through Abeokuta. I'm going to Lagos. You take me 3 hours. I'll go and sit down in a train for 3 hours. Except, of course, I'm sure that there will be chaos on Lagos Ibadan Expressway on days when those Christian groups do their business. That's the only day I'm going to get into a train that I'm going to Lagos. 3 hours, and then 3 hours back, 6 hours in one day. A quarter of a day riding to Lagos and back. Will you do that? Except you're going for leisure. 6 hours. That's 6 times 4, 24. 1 quarter of a day. You spend it in traffic, Lagos to Ibadan. So when are you going to, and of course, how many runs do they do? I see that train run. You see, we are not doing profitable. The one they did, a worry to Itakpe, I don't even think the cost of diesel. You know, some of them are running diesel. In fact, they are running diesel. All the ones done for Africa, they are running diesel. They're running on diesel. One in Lagos, it is only the blue line that is running electricity. The one they are doing from the blue rail, the red line will be running diesel too. You know the cost of diesel. So it has to be profitable.
All right, another story here now. The unholy secrecy of National Assembly members' pay package.
Unholy.
The unholy secrecy. That's as put by the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Well, I don't think we have figures. We have an idea of figures. You understand? And you see, these things are not secret, though. There is no secrecy. Let me tell you, when I worked in the National Assembly, I go to the pigeon hole, I pick up, stuff every day. When they are paid, and I told you earlier here that when the National Assembly holds these sessions that they call executive session, they call it executive session, everybody goes out, the aides, and I think it is even only a handful of National Assembly staff that are left with them. You understand? Even the speaker gets down from his seat. He comes down, and then they even lower the mace. The mace is lowered, so that this is.
Let me read like 2 paragraphs now. The controversies and secrecy surrounding how much members of the National Assembly earn do not portray the federal lawmakers as transparent, accountable, and dignified representatives of their fellow citizens. For years now, it has been widely reported in the media that Nigerian parliamentarians are the most highly paid in the whole world. Now, let me move to the next paragraph now. Refusal to provide certain information required or desired by the public paves the way for rumor to thrive that their package is unholy and it's in secrecy.
Well, it may be unholy. I don't think it's a secret anymore. It's in the public domain.
The breakdown.
The breakdown is not available.
The entire breakdown.
The entire breakdown is not available. But the spokesperson of the Senate has said to us that yes, he called them running costs. So if he has actually acknowledged the existence of that 21 million. He has acknowledged the existence. He calls them running costs. So since he has acknowledged the existence, let's have the details. But we saw some details that run, some allowances that are also constituency allowances.
Do we have the breakdown of the running cost, 21 million naira running cost?
The man mentioned some.
Like?
Offices, running the offices in Abuja.
In 30 days, 21 million.
Yes, now. Constituency allowance, too.
Is that part of the running cost?
It's running cost now. You run your constituency office. It's running cost. The former speaker, Dugara, said he was collecting 25 million back then. It's been quite a while now. So maybe that's around. As a principal officer, that's the average. The 21 million is for regular senators. Regular. If you're a committee chairman, you will get bigger than that. Those SUVs that were distributed, committee chairmen have another one for that, another one as chair. So don't think that they have just one. The committee chair has another one. They have running costs for committees. Running costs for each committee. I'm a chairman. I head the committee.
Apparently, we can say that probably our lawmakers are the highest paid in the entire world, according to that report.
Well, Maybe not, because when you start, if you want to start a comparative analysis, then you start dividing Nigeria's dollar by the other currencies. But in terms of productivity, certainly they must rank as one of the worst. Productivity is the bottom line. What is an average American congressman doing? Every committee has experts. Every lawmaker, they call them the most ranking, they call them SLA, Senior Legislative Aid. When I went to the National Assembly, because of my background in political science and governance, all I was thinking was, I will get to the National Assembly, provide the necessary input. What committees does my principal belong to? I will, which committees? And I'll be doing, my head was running. I'll be producing position papers, briefing papers, so that when it gets to this committee, they will be, profiling, the way forward.
But when you got there,
alas, there was even no library. There were even no offices, even for members.
As at then?
There were no offices. The offices that they started with, of course, there were offices for the principal officer and the committees. They were not enough. They had to appropriate a particular building that was across the road, which belonged to the Federal Civil Service Commission. And, of course, which was not enough. They had to appropriate that. Then they had to now build an annex. I mean, even if you had a National Assembly, these are basic things. If you had a National Assembly, you knew that we're going to have 360 House of Rep members. You knew we were going to have 109 senators. You knew we were going to have committees. What the heck? Didn't they think they had to build all these support infrastructures too? What kind of thinking was that? You provide National Assembly. You don't provide support infrastructure. What were they thinking? And you provided APO quarters. They provided APO quarters to accommodate everybody. Principal officers, all members. You understand? So the work environment where they were going to be working, you didn't provide facilities. What kind of thinking was that?
All right, let's move away from that story now. Still on talking about something related to that. I have this one saying, Atiku chides Tinubu over citizens' rights violation. And he pointed out some instances, like when they were about to have this end bad governance protest, that the government was quick to rush to the court to secure a kind of a court injunction restricting people from doing such things. And another one was the attack on the headquarters of the NLC. What do you make out of the point of the Atiku is raising concerning Tinubu's government?
No, if you talk about the citizens' rights and the ones he actually addressed, going to court, I think going to court, I think it is actually novel. We don't see government going to court to restrain people. You understand? They will just deploy force. They went to court. I think we have seen them. That's innovative. Dubiously innovative, you might say. At least that looks like rule of law. Following the rule of law. Aha. So if the people, of course, the people are going to breach it, and then you start, applying force. Then the other one, they said that they attacked. You see, the words that we deploy, was it an attack? You understand? Was it an attack? It has emerged in the public space that what actually happened was that they didn't go. Of course, the building is NLC headquarters, but it was somebody who was a tenant that they actually went for. And they're talking about terrorism.
But don't forget the fact that all the books in the library of the NLC were taken. All the books were taken from that library.
You know security agencies.
So if they actually came for the tenant, why?
If they came for the tenant, if they came for the building and they found stuff in one of the tenants, then they start, security now, they would begin a conspiracy theory that if these have been happening in this structure, how long has this tenant been here? This tenant has been here for 6 years. And you want to claim that nobody else, let me give you another scenario, the Bodija blast. When it occurred, wouldn't people start raising questions in that area of Bodija, in Bodija, elite area, in that particular area of Bodija, where X, Y, Z, ABC lived? Could they lay claim that they had no knowledge of what was happening around them? You understand? That's the scenario. Conspiracy theories. That's what, and security agencies now. And of course, because NLC too has been aggressive, it's in the past 15, 16 months, in the interest of the people, the security will say against government, but working in the interest of the people, because it depends on the side of the divide in which you are. As far as security are concerned, NLC is working against government. They won't see it as working in the interest of people. So the same place is that opportunity.
But now, talking about that particular tenant, he has remained faceless even after many weeks up till now.
He cannot remain faceless.
Which makes Nigerians believe that probably that thing was indirectly targeted at NLC Joe Ajaero.
We are waiting and we are watching. If that tenant,
a faceless tenant,
well, and why did NLC not feed us about these tenants, about the particular location that, the security agencies came for, and who you want to clear yourself. You want to make it clear that you are not the one. Why is
I remember Joe Ajaero released a statement then. I think we played it like 2 weeks ago when the event occurred, that their offices were actually attacked, and I saw the video clip of the library that was being ransacked, and all the books, not one was left.
That's the one they say fishing for evidence. Security now, they will arrest you.
So he didn't even mention the fact that there was a tenant.
So why didn't it should be who then he came out and said he got a tenant that he has issues of terrorism, espionage.
Why is the tenant faceless up to this moment? That's the question.
If those allegations, they will have to prove it, and to prove it, they have to take into court. You cannot take a faceless.
I remember you spoke about the bomb blast in Bodija. At the end of the day, they came up with names.
Yes.
Of the people that were in custody of the dynamite. Then the names came out after a few weeks.
Security has not said the man is at large. We haven't heard that.
That is the problem. So what is his name? Why is he faceless? If truly there was a tenant that they targeted.
Well, we wait. These things, they have to arraign him. Even if you are fishing for evidence, you understand? If you can say terrorism, those are direct and specific allegations. Grave treason, terrorism. These are against the interest of the nation. National security issues. They will arraign him, and will he be faceless? He can no longer be faceless. But I'm curious too. Why is NLC not coming out that our tenant office too was attacked or whatever like that? But I think they are playing games.
Who's playing games now? Both parties.
Of course.
Okay.
Mind games.
Mind games. Okay. Nigerians are waiting, like you said. It's 4 minutes past 10. Still taking you through some stories in some of today's national dailies. Another one says, executive order on medicament. FG yet to implement 2 months after.
Is that new? Are these things new with this administration anymore? They're no longer strange. Okay. What about the one regarding waiver for importation of...
We discussed that some weeks ago too.
And
nothing has been done.
What about Supreme Court judgment? Another committee was set up. A judgment. What about PMS? We have, all these things. You see, it's like jumping before you think. And then when you land
looking at the riders now, FG is still working on implementation framework 2 months after. That's the minister saying that. They're still working on implementation.
When there is a policy, except, let me tell you, except, of course, that the policy pronouncements, policy pronouncements are made impulsively.
But when we talk about policies that affect the lives of the people directly, look at this one. Delay not worth it. People are dying.
Look, as I sit down here, it is a thought that runs through my mind every day, and it is scary. One must not fall sick in this country now and need to pay out of pocket. Believe you me, one must not fall sick in this country now and need to pay out of pocket.
Why?
The costs. The costs and the quality of service you get, and where do you get it? I have a cousin that is currently, and I think I need to say this, I have a cousin that is currently undergoing chemotherapy,
Treatment.
Yeah, she just did the 6th one. She got to a tertiary hospital or institution in this country, in this southwest of Nigeria. She got there on a Thursday, and I called her. Okay, I've checked in. Of course they will conduct some tests. For 4 days, there was no power supply and water, and they could not conduct the basic tests that were required before she has to, they have to check the parameters before they go ahead. 5 nights she spent before they could do the basic tests to ascertain, our capacity to absorb the next treatment. She was just discharged on Saturday evening. Instead of the usual 3 days, she spent 10 days. Now, no power, because they're not going to take tests you do outside, and they do not have power supply to do basic tests. Now imagine an emergency. Now imagine another fact is that she is to do those chemotherapy treatment in a cycle of 21 days. And then a strict regimen, you understand? And then it extends to 35, 31, 32 days. Does that impact, the treatment? You understand? Does that? How does that? Or how does it impact treatment? If you say it's a 21-day regimen, and by the incapacity of that same institution, the cycle now extends to 30 days. How does that impact the treatment cycle?
We've had that particular problem for years now. And I guess that was why President Bola Tinubu signed that executive order into law in June. Now, let me read this part. In June, President Bola Tinubu signed an executive order to strengthen Nigeria's health system by exempting pharmaceutical machinery, equipment, goods, and accessories from tariffs and excise duties, reducing production costs and making healthcare products more affordable. All these are inclusive in the executive order. But 2 months after, nothing has been done.
Bureaucracy.
These are policies. These are things that affect the lives of the people.
Yes. You see,
should bureaucracy be affecting this kind of orders?
Let me make one thing abundantly clear. We're not going to be running away from truths. Truths are constant. Facts might change. What is fact today might not be fact tomorrow in view of new evidence. But truths are constant. Truths don't change. One truth about this administration at the federal level is that from day one, not even day one, moment one, that the president stepped up to take oath of office and allegiance, and he opened his mouth, it is clear that the administration was jumping before thinking. Look, 2 decisions that landed Nigeria and Nigerians where we are today. 13 months after was when the government came up with, okay, let's import, food, to cushion the effect. Shouldn't that have come, you understand? When you create a problem from an attempt to create a better situation, shouldn't the third leg have come along with the original thinking? Look at everything. We just talked about the issue of PMS. Critical in the issue of inflation. Somebody said it yesterday somewhere. I asked the chairman, like one silver bullet solution.
Now, remember, when you talk about the oil now, the president made the pronouncement that the crude should be sold to Dangote in Naira.
Yeah.
Till date.
Who sells the crude? NNPC produces the crude with others, okay? The ones that should be sold to Dangote is basically the ones that NNPC has control over. You understand? They know the facts. The facts, it's not as if they're searching for facts. You know how much you are owing, you know how much, who you are giving what, you know how much you produce. These things is not rocket science. But the ones we call embedded vested interests are going to make things drag. Look at it now, the issue of PMS, the issue of food, the issue of medicaments.
Everything moving at slow pace.
CNG buses. CNG buses. The president got so frustrated that I think it was in Addis Ababa.
Where are the CNG buses?
Good question. Good question. I think they launched some in Abuja.
Where are they?
That's a big question. I've not even seen the ones. Well, apparently they are not running the city. The ones that was donated by a philanthropist in Ibadan here, a citizen. You see, I do not, I told you, October. But apparently, there is a monstrous conspiracy against the Nigerian people. I do not say this flippantly. It is basically clear.
A big question on the minds of Nigerians today is the fact that how long do they have to wait to begin to see the fruition of all these policies?
You see, every society,
good policies.
Every society is either arrested or propelled by the elite. The one they call elite consensus. Big question is, what is the elite consensus in Nigeria? Somebody told me that the consensus of the elite is state capture. And the Nigerian state have been captured by the elite. And I'm not talking about the political elite alone.
Now, talking about the elite, are they benefiting in one way or the other from all this?
If the people are not benefiting, who are the real people? Who are the people benefiting? Okay, you awarded a 10 billion naira contract. They say they want to supply palliatives to the people. They now give you 10 billion naira contract to supply 200,000 bags of rice. Where are you going to get the rice? Is it the Bodija market? You are not going to go to Bodija market. You're going to go to the farmers that produce it. And it is those same farmers that supply the market. That means you are cutting supply to the market. When you cut supply to the market, I have been awarded. And when I am awarded that contract, in Nigeria, my own margin will be added. And then the margin of those who are awarding me the contract are in it. You understand? So I work freely to the sources. I'm not even going to buy at a cheaper rate than in the market. It is the market price that they will award it to me, but with margin on top. I would have go to the producers in the farms everywhere, take it up there. Then the supply, that's where government is in itself, is fueling inflation. Whatever marginal decreases you see today in the open markets is season driven. Like Chairman said yesterday, sustainability. Take charge, take control. Don't let the momentum, you understand? You must, when you gain momentum, you must push so that the momentum must be sustained. Consensus of the elite today in Nigeria, I've been told, is state capture. And I'm not talking about the political elite alone, no. Elites in various sectors. It's simply state capture. And the Nigerian people, the Nigerian masses.
So in essence, you're saying that there are some people milking off this hardship Nigerians.
Okay, when they say they are stealing 400,000 barrels of crude per day, is it you? Is it the man on the street here that is stealing, that is connecting?
I don't have the money.
You don't even have the leverage.
I don't have the leverage.
But is it you that goes to flow stations? When crude oil is stolen from flow stations, DPR, before called DPR, now called Upstream Regulatory Agency, they are the ones to regulate. Okay, you are going to regulate. You don't have chopper. You are going to offshore. You are going offshore to regulate, to oversee those who are, the upstream, the offshore transactions. It is the person you are going to inspect and regulate that provides chopper for you to come. It's the one that accommodates you. It's the one that takes care of you. What are you regulating? Okay, where they steal this crude oil in big time, all security agencies are there. It was never like that 30 years ago. They were not there. Go to our ports. After custom has cleared you, custom is the one that is in charge of clearing you. And then as you start driving, before you drive out, you can meet, including the ones they call quarantine. Do they want to quarantine luggage? Quarantine.
They must collect their own too.
They want, is it malaria or chicken pox or
Mpox
or
COVID
that is on the goods? Everybody. You remember Kojo Iguela, as Minister of Finance, lamented and lamented and lamented. You see, I think there is a reason and a good one for political socialization. Nigeria don't know. Nigerians it is Americans that are thought were actually ignorant. See, the one here is pervasive and nearly suffocating. People don't think they have rights. People don't think, even if they have rights, that they have a right to enforce their rights. You will hear in this Southwest Yoruba, government cannot do wrong. What kind of thinking is that? Government can. Okay, can you talk like that? You will be in public transport. Police doing their legitimate work. Passengers will be saying, everyone what's the meaning of that? Udrume said, it is the people that are enabling corruption. It is the people that are enabling corruption. They say the next man that is purportedly not corrupt is because he has not had the opportunity. Everybody is waiting for an opportunity to be corrupt. Even those who are corrupt at low levels are accusing
those at the top
of corruption.
All right, you mentioned Okonjo Iweala. She's in the news, actually.
Oh, okay.
Okonjo Iweala asked politicians to stop weaponizing insecurity. I think he was referring to the likes. She was referring to the likes of Peter Obi, talking about the spate of insecurity in the nation. But are they actually weaponizing insecurity, or they are stating the fact and telling the government to do the needful?
Yeah, you see, when you're a leader, and a leader that commands followership and respected across the land, even beyond the Nigerian space, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to be judicious in the deployment of words. You see, Nigerians, you know how they listen to all these news, especially the Yoruba, all these things they do in the morning, like we're doing in English. You know, people take what they hear as gospel. Lagwaja so wipe, that means he takes it to be gospel. Kiniti saw, or he has said it. If he has said it, then it must be true. And then they start passing it around. When some people are passing it around, they won't pass it around as Lagwaja said, though. They will be saying it, this is it. And then people will be taking it in. Some will not even say anything to it, they will be taking it in. That will be the basis of their thinking. So you have a responsibility. Of course, we know that is not the only thing that has been weaponized in Nigeria. But this issue of security, you know, it was weaponized. It was weaponized against Jonathan.
I was going to say, but
effectively weaponized.
Talking about banditry and kidnapping, it has become more rampant these days. I mean, just on the front page now, we can just yesterday, bandits kidnapped 150 in Sokoto. Virtually every week, we get cases of this kidnappings. Just a week ago or so, a number of medical students were abducted in Benue State. I think they were released. They were released over the weekend. So we've been having these stories almost every now and then.
You see, what worries me is that it is easy to be splashing stuff like this on the pages of the newspaper. And I think the media has a responsibility to do more than this. Because these things are symptomatic of issues that are embedded.
But the media is to report the happening.
You report? No. You know the media has. Why is the media called the fourth estate of the realm?
So, saying this,
it's not just report. It's not just about reporting.
Okay.
This has been the story since 2009.
2009.
Even in the days of Obasanjo.
In the days of okay, let's just say when this Boko Haram Chibok issue started.
Now, it has been reoccurring. It has been a recurring decimal. Any responsible media or individual or society at large, we have to look beyond what is happening. Why do we have this persistence? Of course, these things are. Look, okay, in the north, it is here too. but it is way, 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 way bigger. Why do you have people engaged in this in large numbers? There is a supply of arms is not even the basic. The supply of men and women. Why are people...
The human resources.
The human capital. Why are people available to do this? It is risky. Why are human beings available in numbers to do this? Of course, we know that one key factor is the issue of the Amanjaris. It did not start today. The Amanjaris in the north are an army, standing army. Standing army. So that we should not deceive ourselves. And then beyond this, there is an economic issue. The thing they call banditry in the north. If you do not know the north or understand it, it is a thing of shame to them. You understand? It is a thing of shame. And I love northerners for one thing. They cover themselves up.
Do they see it as a thing of shame?
Well, if they do not see it as a thing of shame, why are they covering it up? Why are they not telling us? Why are they not telling us that some of this banditry is an ethnic conflict between the Hausa landowners and the Fulanis?
But I think some of the governors are waking up now. Like we heard some weeks ago when a particular governor was saying that we should blame ourselves.
Yeah. Also, how many times have you seen that? There's a conspiracy. Look, there's a conspiracy of the northern elite. Look at how many years have they been in power. And I mean power. And let me tell you, even if Southerners spend 20, 30, 20 years in power, non-stop, they cannot remove them from, they are so embedded. So how has it benefited, When the issue of central bank came up, the movement of central bank units, to where they're supposed to be operational, what did Ndume say? He said it's against the interest of the North. We only found out that he was just waving the northern flag for his own interest. What? What do you call that man? Jonathan took our Manjiri schools. Do you have them anymore? Buhari took over. Did they sustain it? Are they educating them? One thing about the Southwest is, no matter what, Omomia lost his school.
Definitely.
You understand? I told you when we went to the North on a tour as a student in Ife, the first thing we were told in Niger State, I think it used to be before, okay, they had excised this federal capital. But there was still some other parts. They had not created, Kogi. So it was bigger than that. The secondary schools in Niger State, the number was lower than the number of secondary schools between Molete and Okebola.
In the entire Niger State?
Yes.
As at that time?
Yes. And, so what kind of a leader is it that will not want to educate its own people? An uneducated and an unskilled human being, that's a burden to society, It's a burden. And apart from being an immediate burden, it's a danger. Because an uneducated mind, Awolowo said an educated mind is a liberated mind. A liberated mind means you will take your decisions, you understand? You are given information.
Probably that's why they are easily manipulated.
You can't process information. If you can't process it, so they feed you with information. They say, this is the information, go and act on it. They even tell you what to do because you can't process it. A mind that cannot process information, what's it going to do with the information of what you... So he has to be told what to do. And that's a dangerous leather human being. That's why they're going to be putting people... Look, okay, you saw it now. People are cutting traffic lights. What kind of people are that? What kind of people are that? What kind of people? They went to one office, NCC, not NCC, NCC or Ministry of NCC, brand new. They want to commission it that week to serve the people.
And vandalizing things there.
And they were gleefully removing stuff from the place. So we should not deceive ourselves. They know. And we know too. They know. Rather than address it. You know why they're not going to address it? Unless they have... Those people are unleashed on them too. The problem is that the political and the spiritual elite are in bed together, using each other with those children as the tools.
All right, Comrade AYODEJI, there's a particular story I would have loved us to talk about. That is talking about Tinubu should act on calls for new constitution by Emeka Nyoko, telling Tinubu, but probably will have
Let
more
me
time
promptly reply.
Okay.
Tinubu responded. Tinubu said he was addressing economic issues. And you know the funny thing, those economic issues, some of them, the fundamentals, stem from the contradictions within the political structure.
Probably we'll talk more on that, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, by God's grace.
Okay, that's the wrap for today. Comrade AYODEJI, thank you very much for being a part of the program.
Always
today.
a pleasure.
All right, we'll return same time tomorrow morning for a fresh edition of From the Dailies on your number one radio dial, Solutions 93.9 FM. My name is AJISOPE LAFENWA, wishing every one of us a very fruitful day and a blessed week ahead. Good morning once again.